Hey everyone, it's Jason Balin at Hard Money Bankers. Today, we are going to discuss if it is a deal or not a deal. As real estate investors, we have to buy good deals. It's the most important thing. We are going to break down a deal, and you will see exactly why you have to buy at 65% LTV or less for your next real estate investment deal. Okay, so I got a scenario on the screen that I'm going to bring up here in a second. This is a financing comparison that we've done internally for our clients at Hard Money Bankers. Don't worry about any of the other stuff. Just worry about everything that is in the yellow that I'm circling right here. Everything in the yellow is what is important. So you start with a purchase price of $100,000. This is all hypothetical, but you're going to get the point of why you need to buy at a 65% LTV or less to make money in a real estate transaction. You buy the property at $100,000. Let's say it needs $30,000 in work. So you have an all-in purchase and renovation of $130,000, right? You buy the property at $130,000 in renovation. Follow along with me. $130,000. Let's say you think the property can be flipped and you for $200,000, right? 100 purchase, 30 renovations. That's 130. Take 130, divide that by $200,000. That's 65%. Right? That's 65%. That's the target buy price in the particular deal. Now, let's go through some other costs that sometimes folks forget that they have. Give you an example. Financing costs. Let's say, you are financing this and you're not using cash. And then keep in mind, if you are using cash, you do need to, in essence, give value to your own cash. The last thing you want to do is flip a property with your own cash and, scrape by and make a few percent. And your money could have been very well just been put into, a savings account or a CD or an index fund, and potentially would have made the same return with no risks and no headaches. So that's a different conversation for a different video. So your financing costs, let's call that $3,900, assuming, your lender charges 3 points. You have additional financing costs, which is, maybe there's like an appraisal fee or valuation fee, underwriting fee, things like that, $1,500. And then you have closing costs on the deal. So you have transfer tax, potentially recordation tax, title insurance, closing fees, taxes that might be due, property insurance that is due, right? That all wrapped in to the closing costs. And again, I'm going to skip around on some of these things if you're watching this on YouTube, because some aren't relevant in this particular sheet. And then you have holding costs, right? So you have utilities that you might need to be done, on the property, water, electric, gas, things like that. There's additional holding costs that you'll have throughout, being a property owner. And then you have financing holding costs. This is assuming the loan is outstanding for 6 months, right? So you have a 6-month loan outstanding at a 13% interest rate. And, I'm just using kind of standard hard money lending terms in today's market, about 13 and 3. Okay. So that's everything that you have on the front end. Now you have the back end. So you're going to sell it for $200,000. You're probably going to have about $17,000 in resale costs. A lot of people don't take into consideration what resale costs are. You have realtor fees, right? Typically 6%, but these day and age, it can be 5%, it can be 4%, right? So you have realtor costs, and then you also have, selling costs, right? You might have a transfer cost, you might have title work costs associated with that. And another thing to take into consideration is, seller subsidy or seller credit. Might be 1%, 2%, 3%, depending on where you're at. But a lot of buyers that are buying properties are requesting seller credits to get these things sold. So again, that's another part of it you got to take into consideration. And all this here's outlined on the yellow if you're following along. Okay, so as you go through all of those, you will see, if we break this down on the screen, that your all-in costs are $168,350. You subtract that from a $200,000 resale cost or resale of the property, and you net a little over $31,000. Not bad. Netting $31,000. Now, this cash to close return, that's irrelevant for this particular video, but you're making $31,000. Now, typically, the rule of thumb for real estate investors is they want to make 20% of their costs. That's what they want to profit. 20% of their costs in profit. So for instance, in this particular case, and when I say cost, I like to say hard costs. So purchase and construction money. So you bought it for $100,000 and you had $30,000 in work. That's 130. 20% of that profit would be $26,000. Now, if you go back to this particular example, you're making $31,000. So that's good. Now, again, some of these things will vary. If you're a real estate investor, keep in mind, like most construction projects go over budget. Right? So that $30,000 could turn into a 10% variance of $33,000 very, very quickly, or maybe even more if that happens. And again, $30,000 for a construction budget is pretty unrealistic, in today's current market. And I get that. I'm just using this so you can see a very, very clean and simple example for your next real estate investment deal, right? You want to just use this as a reference of why, nobody just out of thin air said, oh, hey, I got to buy a property at 65% based off the value minus construction costs. I have to have a 35% equity cushion in there. These are real numbers. No matter what happens, these are all facts. These numbers will happen. They're not going down. Chances are they're going to go up. So to rehash what I said earlier, most real estate investors want to make a 20% profit based on their costs. So in that particular case, you're in a good spot. Now do the math on some of this. Let's say you decide, well, I can't buy this property at 100. I can buy it at 110. Should I do the deal? Well, if you buy it at 110, best case scenario is you're making $21,000. $21,000 is a great profit. It's a lot of money. Don't get me wrong, but there's a lot of risk and your own cash and your own sweat equity and time that goes into these projects, right? This is a 6-month project. You're making $30,000 in 6 months, right? Is that a lot of money? It might be to you. It might not be to you. Think about it. There's also risk, and you're, potentially signing and personally guaranteeing a loan, or you're putting up cash of your own money or investors' money to put into this deal. So it's all things to be taken in consideration. But again, the 65 LTV deal is the number to go off of. And in a real estate market that has very low inventory, that has cheap interest rates, it's hard to get good opportunities. And that's where the magic happens. The best real estate investors aren't necessarily the best contractors or operators or owners of real estate. The best real estate investors typically are the best marketers who find the best deals. Having a good deal solves a lot of problems, right? You could be the best at everything in real estate and you buy a bad deal and your margins are going to be very, 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 very skinny. So if you want to concentrate on something inside your real estate investment career, concentrate on finding good deals, good opportunities. We've done videos on this YouTube channel related to finding good opportunities. If you found this video to be valuable and helpful, certainly appreciate thumbs up. I'd certainly appreciate liking and following the channel. That means a lot to us. And also, at any time, if you have any questions related to this video, how we derived at any of these numbers or anything to help you in your real estate investing success, feel free to comment below. I personally go through all of those comments and try to answer everything that I can. Feel free to do so. Smash that like button, smash that subscribe button, and I will see you on the next video. Thanks so much.